You good?
Yeah, I'm good. Way to make it weird.
Hello everybody and welcome to Working Title Productions. My name's Ben, his name is Ed, and we're here to bring you another episode of Movie Talk from one of the few cold havens left in all of Sydney at the moment. It's so hot in this country, but Ed, you did a great job preparing this. We've got ice cold drinks, he's had the aircon on, we just turned it off to start filming. We're good to go. What were you going to say? Apparently
RTX has quite good air conditioning this year, but I wouldn't know because I'm not there, which I'm kind of bummed about, but that's alright. I'll survive.
Maybe next year.
What
we did this year instead, we actually got to see a couple of movies this week. One of them we're going to talk about because it's totally topical. The other we're going to just quickly gloss over quickly because no one seems to care about it. That first film that no one seems to care about is Live by Night, Ben Affleck's new film. It's been out in the United States for a while. It just came out here. We got a chance to see it. That said, it's probably not going to be in theaters for that much longer. If you've got a chance, you feel like seeing it and you haven't yet, I would recommend you go see it really soon because we both really enjoyed it. We thought it was a good movie. It's a real shame it hasn't got the box office numbers that it really deserves. It kind of puts just a little bit of a black spot on Ben Affleck's career, but
yeah,
it's still a solid film. It's not a masterpiece like Argo or The Town, but it's still really enjoyable. I would recommend you guys see that. But that is not the film we're going to review today, is it, Ed? Today? Oh, do you want to quickly say something about Live by Night?
Going to quickly say something. Yeah, it's not. It's probably more closer in style to The Town. But yeah, it's not as good as either The Town or Argo. But if you do like kind of Ben Affleck's slow, drawn-out storytelling style, it's definitely worth watching because it's really well done here. So yeah.
And we mean like slow in a good way, obviously. Yeah. But that isn't the film we're going to look at today. The film we're really going to knuckle into and review is actually the latest M. Night Shyamalan film, Split. I never say his name.
We would say that on camera. I thought he was done.
I never thought he was done, but I thought that he was just never really going to make a good film again. We were both wrong. Split is not a bad movie at all. Split is actually a really good movie, a surprisingly good movie. It's one that I really enjoyed. There's a lot to like about this movie. Like straight up at the start, the opening credits, it's just like this really sort of chilling, very like basic titles that just come at you quick and fast, like very much like an old school 60s horror movie, like before Alfred Hitchcock did the famous Psycho ones with like all the shifting font. It kind of feels like it's got a bit of Psycho flavour to it.
You do know Psycho was 1960.
Yes, the year 1960.
Okay, so like it can't be 60s flavours if it.
But it was
anyway.
That film was before its time. Okay. Thank you. Don't worry, I know what I'm saying. It's a little bit of an homage to Psycho. It's a little bit of an homage to other 60s horror movies. But at the same time, still feels very slick and very modern. Another thing that opens the film, and it's really my only big problem with the film, is that Shyamalan has some very odd shot choices at the start of this movie. He's got like characters slightly out of frame and it doesn't feel like it's for an artistic reason. It was literally just like, hey, you're meant to look at that person, so I'm going to cut off half of this person's head. It's like, I can still see their mouth. Why can't I see their eyes? Like, that's just dumb. But that happens very, very early on, and it feels like the longer the film goes on, the more momentum it gains, and the more you get into it, the more you start to enjoy it, and just the better it becomes. What did you reckon?
Yeah, I agree. I reckon once it gets into nuts and bolts of the story, that's where Shyamalan really hits his stride as a director. Like those couple of very brief scenes of context, like super early on before the plot actually gets rolling, do feel like a little bit awkward, and like because it's hard to capture the tone of the movie without James McAvoy's character, I feel like, and so that's why those couple of scenes just feel just a tiny bit awkward until McAvoy comes onto the scene. And speaking of McAvoy, he is the star of the show. He is excellent in this film. Like, the way he nails down just voices and mannerisms and movements and facial expressions and just like vibes and feelings coming from the different characters he has to play.
Yeah.
It's remarkable. It's very, very
Absolutely. I think it's safe to say that he carries this entire story on his back. There is another supporting character who kind of has their own subplot and their own little arc and development that they get. And it's not disinteresting, but it pales in comparison to what McAvoy does as Kevin. I can't remember Kevin's last name. But he plays...
Kevin Wendell.
Wendell, thank you. He plays, obviously, split personality disorder. And it literally feels like multiple different people. And it's not like he disappears one scene and he comes back as a different person. There are opportunities in this film, single takes, where he just goes between all these different characters. And it's like, they all feel like different people. They all literally exist inside this guy's head. The way the film explains the particular setup of his split personality disorder, you can literally picture it, the way they all exist in his head and the way they all come to the front, the way they all come to present themselves through Kevin. He basically, if there was an award for most roles played by a single actor, he wins. I don't know if it's best actor worthy, but if each of these individual roles could accumulate to give him the Oscar, he would probably win it because he nails multiple characters. It really is baffling to think about, but he just nails it.
IMDb is telling me that he only plays 8 different roles all through a movie, even though the movie advertises 24 split personalities, it only gets to showcase a few of them and briefly show.
It would really be. It would be a bit classed if he literally did 24. I think it actually would have been better if they didn't play up 23 personalities. I think it would have been better if they actually said, "Oh, you have 7, or is there potentially an 8th?" As opposed to, "Oh, you have so many, and here's one more."
I actually disagree because I think having that number of personalities showcases the power of Dennis.
Oh yeah, fair enough.
The psychologist talks a lot about how the rest of the personalities have decided that 2 of the personalities are too dangerous to be let out, and they're actually constricted by the rest of the personalities. It's really, really interesting. Obviously impossible in real life, but still interesting. But then when those 2 personalities are able to manifest and the plot gets moving, I think it works having that many personalities because it shows how Dennis and Patricia are overall just able to just command just the rest of Kevin's mind.
I haven't actually looked at it like that. That is a really fair comment. I don't know. I can move away from what I said before just because I like concise storytelling. That's my style. But you're definitely not wrong. That's a really great point that you make. Look, we could go on about James McAvoy's performance for the whole review. I feel like we probably should talk about everything else. This isn't the fastest story ever. The pacing is probably what it needs to be. Maybe a little slow in parts, but definitely what it needs to be. And when you get into the third act, it really just starts to move along. It really starts to pick up the pace.
Yeah.
And turn into more of a conventional horror movie, I suppose.
Yeah, I agree. I watched a TV spot for it after we had seen it just because it was on TV. So I was like, alright, I'll watch this just to see how it's being marketed on TV. And it kind of seems like they're trying to push it as a jump scary thriller sort of thing. And the movie's not really like that at all.
It's a psychological thriller.
Yeah, I agree. Even once it gets to the final act, it's still not really that jump scary. It's more, if anything, elements of body horror, kind of.
Yeah.
And more stalking terror sort of thing. Yeah. So even by the final act, it doesn't really get jump scary. famously hate horror movies, like despise them, can't watch them, and I watched it and I was like,
You did get through this pretty well.
I did get through it, like, because it's not necessarily scary.
I feel like I was squirming in my seat more than you were, just because I hate seeing intestines.
There were a couple of shots that were pretty grisly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, and that's fine when I'm like watching an action movie where people are supposed to get blown to bits. You know, you sort of get like temporarily desensitized. It's like, alright, this is happening. But when it comes like that so abruptly, that's when I'm just like,
Yeah.
But you handled it very well.
Pretty gross.
It's not an immediately scary movie so much as it is a creepy movie. Like, implications stick with you for a while. It really makes you think about it. And that's really the kind of horror I enjoy. I enjoy a horror movie, which is fine to watch at the time, but then the moment it ends, you instantly start thinking through your head, and you're like, oh god, why can't I stop thinking about this? Why is this still terrifying? And that's what it is. And certainly the 24th personality that McAvoy portrays is terrifying, and the way he brings it to life, it's like, oh my god, like, wait, was he on wires? Surely they had him on wires when he was doing some of that stuff.
They must have, yeah.
Oh my goodness, just terrifying. The other actresses, these 3 girls that he kidnaps, they all do fine jobs, I suppose.
Yeah,
they're not certainly not bad.
Yeah, 2 of them really only serve to be girls in distress. Which is fine. Like a lot of
normally I don't like that sort of stereotyping of roles, but
it does make
really
sense
needs
within
to.
the movie.
It makes sense here. It really needs to
and
happen.
and it's explained. But most of the development does go towards Casey Cook, played by Anya Taylor-Joy, through the use of like flashback sequences to her childhood, which I feel like they could have showed less of.
Yes, I agree.
Like,
it really distracts from the main story here.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think it's cool how like they parallel to like the beast hunting the girls, and then when she's young, she's hunting a beast. With
almost
her
like a dark fairy tale.
Yeah,
kind of in premise.
Yeah, but there were other things within the flashbacks. They could have been like you could have showed less and still implied the same thing.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah. But it does come full circle relatively cleanly for the final act.
It's clean, but I won't say it's the most satisfying ending ever.
I agree.
Especially when M. Night doesn't bring like his traditional twist to the movie. Thank God, I'm glad he didn't. Not every movie needs a twist, especially when you don't set up the twist properly. But here there is, should we call it a revelation at the end of the film? Something is different.
Yes.
It doesn't change the way you view the film, but there is a revelation. There is another piece of information that is revealed towards the end of this movie. It's cool, I guess, if you've watched all of his films.
Yeah, it is for Shyamalan fans. It's not like.
And there aren't a lot of those, but for the most part, it doesn't serve any purpose. And other than that, really, without giving away any spoilers, there's only one character's conclusion that really satisfies me. The rest of them are just kind of like, oh, okay, I guess that's how that ends. That's not. They're not bad ways to end the story, but it was just a little, not unsatisfying, but just a little less than what I was hoping for, I suppose.
Yeah.
It's hard to articulate, but it's not exactly what I was hoping for. And that's fine. You can't please everyone. You're not going to get the story that you want in your head when you go into a theatre. You have to be open to what the creators were actually trying to do. And the reality is that M. Night Shyamalan actually does a really great job here. This is actually a really great movie, which is so refreshing to say. It's been a long time since we were able to say that.
I think I really like the revelation, actually, just because it kind of teases that this is a world where all these crazy things can happen naturally to people, not through any fault of their own or anything. And that, like, this is a world where, like, this, like, crazy stuff can happen and
I need to leave it at that.
the cases presented are not unique per se. But I'll leave it at that.
Very vague, but it's to spare you all spoilers. So, yeah. Anything else you need to say about this movie?
I think that's all pretty good.
So you'd highly recommend it then?
Yeah, I
Maybe
would
not highly, but
it's certainly worth watching.
yes, definitely. It is nice to say it again. M. Night Shyamalan has made a good movie. Give him a chance. Go out, see Split. At least for James McAvoy and his incredible performance as Kevin. The girls in all of the supporting roles, they do great jobs as well. It's shot a little weirdly at the start. You get past it. The film strides. The film finds its stride fairly quickly, and it just gets going, and it's an excellent time. I think that just about wraps it up. Yeah. Go see it. Thank you so much for watching the review, guys, and for putting up with us rambling a little bit today. If you've enjoyed this review and you like content like this, you can hit the subscribe button below, and we'd really appreciate that. If you want to tell us what your thoughts were on Split, you can maybe comment below, or you could tweet to us, tweet to Ed at Edward Knight, tweet to me at BenjWaters01. We also have a Facebook page you can check out as well. There hasn't been a whole lot of content on there at the moment, but we're always working to fix that. And it's also another way you can contact us. So if that's what you're interested in, you can hit the like button on the Facebook page at facebook.com/working-title-YouTube. Anyway, I believe that's all we've got time for today. And thank you so much for watching, guys. And until next time, have a good one. And stay out of the heat.